Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here at the Green Games Summit. My name is Marina Psaros. I'm Unity's sustainability lead, and I'm just thrilled to be able to share with you some of what I've been learning this past year in my role, which a big part of my role is actually helping game makers and gamers bring about a more sustainable world from our unique position. So this is the all hands on deck decade for climate action. And in the gaming world, we have a really important role to play. First, because games are the drivers of culture in so many ways. And secondly, because they're also a large user of energy. So we have a lot of work to do here, from our content to the way that we use energy. I actually feel really privileged to be working on this issue at this time with all of you. It's a really exciting time to be thinking through how we decarbonize entire industries and how we motivate millions and billions of people to take action. One of the things I do at Unity is find and support promising climate change and environment games and other experiences that are built on our platform, and then provide them, grant funding and technical support and partnership. So as you can imagine, I get pitched all the time. And I get pitched with amazing ideas. I open up my inbox and frequently there is the title that goes something like, hey, I want to make a video game to save the world. And I think that's a great thing to do. I'm always excited when I get that, because there's all kinds of new ways that creators are thinking about inspiring and engaging players. And along with the I want to make a video game to save the world, I also get a question related to it, which is, what can we be doing in our community to actually make video games to save the world? So I thought I would take a few minutes to take you through some of what I've learned and the 3 pieces of advice that I give to folks when they ask me what they can do to make a video game to save the world. Just make sure that my slides are advancing. Great. All right, so the first thing I tell people is to expand your idea of what a green game is. I grew up in a time where the video games that had environmental content were mostly like, grumpy robots teaching you to recycle through like dragging and clicking to the right trash can. And that was not very fun. And then I graduated from that to the cyberpunk sort of like dystopian games, which were a lot more fun, but were not really the kind of world that I want to live in. And now we're finally at a point where there's all kinds of different genres doing all kinds of different cool stuff in those games. And I know Deb is going to talk about the Green Game Jam, so I won't give a bunch of examples from there because I know you'll be seeing them elsewhere. But I did want to highlight Samudra, which is a very cool game that just got released on Steam last month. And it's this absolutely beautiful puzzler that raises awareness about plastic pollution in our oceans. And El Lim, who's the creator of Samudra, calls it his storytelling empathy machine. And I just love the way that he's made this amazing, like hand illustrated, gorgeous game that's fun for all kinds of different ages. And it's mysterious and really atmospheric. And it's what he says, it's an empathy machine. I think if we can think about our games as great storytelling and inspirational pieces of work, that is something that can really drive a lot of our content forward. And actually, Elle won a Unity for Humanity grant because of that amazing empathy machine that he created. And over the past year, we've actually had over 150 games and experiences that were submitted that were looking at solving environmental problems. We will continue to support games and experiences that are looking at climate solutions. So, please keep those amazing ideas coming. And that actually leads me to this second point, which is that in those games, one of the things that I've been really excited about is games that are blending in-game and real-world experiences. I think as the metaverse emerges, what we're seeing is more overlap between our digital selves and our real world selves. And I think that we can take that overlap and expand it so that there are more interesting game mechanics and interesting out of game rewards that are sort of blended together. I've seen a number of projects that are using real world data to inform in-game mechanics and play. And so one that I'm going to keep my eye on is something that was just announced. It's called Change the Game, Change the Future. And it's in partnership with the United Nations. And it's really cool because the creators are taking agricultural data from 190 countries. So this is real world ag data, and they're putting it in the game. And then players make decisions based on this data. And those decisions that are made in one region, for example, if you're, growing a certain crop in North America, that may have an impact on crop prices, biodiversity, greenhouse gas emissions, et cetera. And you can see those impacts through time. So decisions made today, what happens in a couple of years, and also for regions. And it really shows how interconnected our world has become. There's a lot of really great data out there that's often public, like public source data from a lot of science agencies. I used to work for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and they also have a lot of really amazing data sets that you can incorporate into your games. Another one that's really grabbed me is Ahika Rangers. So this is a solutions-oriented game that was made by a Maori development team, and it uses Maori sort of land management practices in the game. And one of the things you can do in the game, players can accept missions in the game, which are to collect real world data for use by scientists. And so you accept an in-game mission, you go and collect data about an endangered species in the real world, for example, it's fed back into the game, and then real world scientists are able to use that data that's been gathered. And so thinking back again to my time at NOAA, it is so critical for researchers to have access to high quality, expansive data from a lot of different areas that's been gathered and QA'd. And I see a huge opportunity here for our players, for the billions of people, to be able to contribute to real world science and on the ground decision making. And in fact, we're going to be doing some research next year. I'll be able to talk a little bit more about it later, but we're funding a number of pieces of research that are looking at ways that users can engage in real world data collection, and also what gamers want to be doing. Do they think that games should have a place in climate change solutions? If so, what? What are gamers' attitudes? So it's a really exciting area of research that we're conducting in partnership with Playing for the Planet Alliance and several members. And like I said, I'm excited to share more about that soon. The third piece of advice is that we need to start decarbonizing now. As I mentioned earlier, our industry is responsible for a lot of energy use. And that energy use, if we're not careful, is going to continue to increase, especially as games become multiplayer more frequently and more people are playing games, and the metaverse emerges with, billions of different destinations. So as all of that's happening, it's critical that we start taking steps now to decarbonize our own operations, and that we also look at our industry as a whole, soup to nuts, from how games are conceived of, created, put in the cloud, played, live ops, all the way through how we end of life them, to think about energy efficiency within those systems. And then this is probably a little bit further down the line, but I think that our industry has a lot of opportunity around clean energy, thinking about how to get more clean energy online. So demand signaling through contracts, procurement, requests to data centers, even building new infrastructure to supply clean energy, especially in energy poor areas. Like I said, this is a little bit further down the line, but these are, this is where we can start thinking about our impact. And then closer to home, we, Unity, recently joined the business ambition for 1.5 degrees Celsius, which is looking at thinking about how we reduce our energy and then also how we offset what we can't reduce. So we just announced that Unity is net zero starting in the year 2020. And right now that's primarily through offsets. But as we begin to decarbonize, our offsets will go down and our avoided emissions through reductions of our own energy use will go up. We're not planning to plan, we didn't decide to start in 2030. We decided to start putting our money where our mouth is now and start this work now so that we can create a culture which is aware of and working towards drawdown. So a, carbon-free future. I know that my time is almost up here, so I just wanted to say thanks again for having me. None of us have all of the answers, but if we're all participating in events like this and sharing our best practices, then we can all eventually get to that future that we want to bring about. So thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to working with all of you.